Hello and welcome everyone, a new episode of Money Means Business. Today we are going to tackle together a number of very important economic files, and particularly the second edition of our national narrative, our plans for tomorrow, our economic strategies and the steps taken on the ground to implement them, and also to take very tangible positive steps to Egypt 2030, to the new republic, where we are going to enjoy together, inshallah, the harvest of all these economic efforts and economic reform programs implemented for the best interest not only of this generation but for the coming generations. We are going to start immediately right after this, so stay tuned only on Nile TV International. My name is Nurmeen Abdurrahman.
According to the Cabinet, Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli reviewed with Minister of Planning, Economic Development and International Cooperation, Rania Al-Mashat, the second edition of the National Narrative for Economic and Social Development, Policies Supporting Growth and Employment. Minister Al-Mashat presented the updated version during a meeting held at the government headquarters in the new capital, outlining its key components and the outcomes of a community dialogue conducted over the past 2 months. She said the dialogue saw broad participation from more than 100 economic experts and thinkers through both interactive and structured discussions, generating momentum around Egypt's economic narrative and the state's efforts to continue the economic reform program. Al-Mashat added that the outcomes of the community dialogue had been incorporated into the second edition of the narrative, alongside the results of the Global Conference on Health, Population and Human Development, reflecting government priorities aimed at improving citizens' quality of life and intensifying efforts in human development sectors. According to the Planning Ministry, the national narrative seeks to integrate Egypt Vision 2030 with sectoral strategies in light of rapid regional and global changes. It aims to shift toward an economic model that places greater emphasis on human development, to improve living standards while focusing more strongly on higher productivity sectors with greater export potential. The framework also builds on the country's expanded infrastructure base and includes a redefinition of the state's role in the economy to enhance competitiveness, stimulate private sector participation, and support the continuation of economic reforms while reinforcing macroeconomic stability. The narrative translates structural reform priorities into a consistent set of quantitative targets within a simplified macroeconomic framework, including measurable goals to be achieved by 2030. The medium-term development plan and budget framework being prepared for the first time using a program and performance-based methodology will serve as the executive implementation program for the national economic development narrative, aiming to ensure efficient execution and effective public spending. In light of improvements recorded in Egypt's economy in 2025, the government expects positive momentum to continue in 2026, supported by favorable forecasts for growth and employment, declining inflation and improved public finances, the statement said.
Welcome back. Well, it's the second edition of the National Narrative for Growth and Employment. It's the strategy of Egypt in its economic segment, and we are going to tackle the priorities also in front of the state for the best interest of the Egyptian citizen, because all the time the Egyptian citizen is the priority. Well, before we start, let me first welcome my dear guest live here in the studio, Engineer Mustafa Nagari, our economic expert and analyst, and the expert who is going to answer all our questions regarding these very important files. Thank you very much for being with us, sir, and a very good evening.
Thank you.
And if you permit me, sir, before going to the second edition of our economic narrative, we are going to tackle or to cover together also the inspection tour which took Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli to a number of health facilities today in Cairo and El Giza provinces. And right after the tour, he held a press conference where he stressed the importance of the health fight in general and considering it as a first priority in front of the state. If you want to elaborate on that.
Just to remember that the cabinet they started to have the national health insurance program few years ago, but lately they started with the small capitalized governorates like in Canal governorates, Suez, Ismailia, Port Said, and last week it was also in Luxor. So I think that today, if we can see that His Excellency Prime Minister Dr. Madbouli have visited Cairo and Giza, that means that the system is well tied off. I think that they started with small governorates to try to control the system, to have the better revenue, if we can say, if there is some deficits, it can be controlled in small governorates much more than big cities. But today we can feel that the program is successful, and I think that it is very important to give a better health services, while we have seen in the last 4 or 5 years a big improvement in the medical service in general, and with the medicine production, and even exporting medicine was proving a very good revenue last year. It had reached $1.2 billion, which is giving a full success story, if we can say, in this system. So I think that the program is going well. We are waiting for more and more governorates to
be included under the umbrella of the
umbrella
comprehensive national insurance. But today, sir, whether in Mahad Nasser or Nasser Hospital, whether in different suburbs in Greater Cairo, and I mean here, of course, Cairo and Giza, in Bulaq, in Nasser, as I said, in Shubra. How do you see the importance of having these inspection tours? I mean, to meet directly with doctors on duty, with the medical staff on duty, to listen to the patients, to know what's going on the ground by top executives. And here, I mean, not only the governor, for example, with all my respect, but with the head of the government, with the ministers, with those who are going to face all the blame or the complaints if something is made not in a proper way to the Egyptian citizens.
This is what we say, that the successful system which was held for the health activity, because as we know that we have have been talking about the narrative and the pillars of the narrative. So one of the pillars was the health program. So for many years there was some obstacles to try to eliminate the Egyptian people who is needing this program and so on. But I think they successfully have now covered many of the hospitals. They have improved the efficiency. I think that doctors now are in a better position with the wages and so on. So what we have heard before, I think it is not anymore heard, and we have been controlling what happened in Luxor last week. It was very successful visit, and I think today with His Excellency announcement, it was very promising for all Egyptians, and I think this is very important for the society to have a good health insurance system.
Going to the national narrative for economic and social development, and to have those two words together, economic and social, because we cannot
Correct.
separate them.
Correct.
It's based on scientific rules, let me put it this way, with the participation of 100
Correct.
economic experts and thinkers. How do you see the inclusion of this number, this large number, listen to all these ideas as if it is a think tank, or there are brainstorming sessions to come up with the best version of our economic narrative?
First of all, you know, this narrative was launched in September 2025. And according to the law of the General State Economy Plan, if you can say, that was stated in 2022. And according to that, the government is in a position to start to have a full state plan for the country until 2023. So last week it was the second edition, and I think it was successful because, as we have been always saying, that there is open doors between the government and the private sector and the society as well. So these 100 participants was ranging between economical experts, between service providers, between bankers, between producers, manufacturers. So at the end, this is the healthy relation between the government and the society, that it will lead to the end to the global state plan for economy, which will lead always, as we say,
then do you see broader,
society.
for example, I can describe it this way, that this edition is broader than the first one?
It is much wider because the participants were much wider, and I think they are accelerating because, as we mentioned, that the law was stated in 2022, and it took some time to try to find the proper umbrella to try to hold these meetings. So they had one meeting in September, and just a few days ago the second meeting, so they are accelerating. Every meeting is adding more view to both sides.
I mentioned the number of participants, and as you've kindly mentioned, the diversity of the participants coming from many horizons, if I may put it this way, and to include, of course, the private sector, and the private sector is being prepared to even have a bigger share in our economy, but they all really agreed on the human development. The qualifying of human cadres to be able to run the economy in the future.
The narrative itself, I mean, is built on pillars, and the pillars is mainly concentrating on the society, mainly because the society needs to feel what is the government is doing. We have been always talking about that the GDP is improving, but some people say that the people do not feel that. They don't feel that the prices will decrease or something like that. So having this sort of meetings and having this sort of exchanging ideas and views is at the end going to lead to a better revenues and better results. So I am sure that what have been talking in the second edition is much more positive than the first one. And everyone will be more and more positive because at the end we are having the same ideas, and we are tending at the end to try to increase and benefit from the resources we have in the country, either the foreign or the local resources, try to concentrate more on the sectors that can have the ability to improve and to increase their productivity and their competitiveness more and more. So at the end we are talking about education and the vocational
training. But sir, the idea I want to deliver here, before going into these details, because we are going to go to these details because they are very important, to invest in the human capital.
Correct.
I mean, not so many people really realize that the developed countries became developed countries
Correct.
because of the innovative ideas of the human being,
Sure.
of the management,
Sure.
which is run by very, let's say, talented,
Yeah.
well-educated human
and
cadres.
having a better health.
And of
Okay,
course,
so
before
it is
the money
linked
even, I
altogether.
mean, if I do have huge sums of money, but I
Yeah.
don't know how to manage them or how to put them in the right place, I'm going to lose them all.
Let me tell you that,
Yeah.
as we mentioned, that one of the pillars is the education and how to comply with the new programs of education, either vocational education or the general education, which at the end will try to match with the new labor market. We don't have all the traditional labor market as we have to be. Now we have the AI, we have the IT revolution with the global data which is available. So now the AI, for the view of some investors and manufacturers, are providing with them with better outcome than the normal laborers. So you have to improve the skills of the laborers to try at the end to
And to use
increase.
AI as an assistant,
this is what is
not as
done.
the
Yeah.
core. But sir, I like the terms used here.
Yeah.
We are shifting toward higher productivity and
Correct.
expert-oriented economic model.
Correct.
If you want to elaborate on those two terms in specific.
Yeah, of course, that, as we mentioned, that one of the pillars is to try to benefit as much as we can from the resources. And the resources always comes
First.
Yeah, human is a resource.
Human
for us.
resources in
Yeah.
addition to...
And of course. So that's why I think that now all the sectors are discussing how to have an added value for what we produce, what we export, what we benefit from. Even for the service provider sector, they are studying at the time being how to have added value from the service we are giving. We still believe that we are not benefiting a lot from our resources. And also on the other side, if we can talk about the foreign investments. So it is not only considered that it is money coming and then you just spend in other ways. It should be a pillar and the core for production.
Yes, sure.
Yeah. And that's why.
And let me seize the
Yeah.
opportunity, because also you are a man of agriculture.
Yeah.
You are, I mean, even it's your specialty rather than
Yeah.
anything else. And let's, for example, implement this higher productivity and export-oriented economic on agriculture.
In agriculture, we are, of course, evaluating the value of the square meter and the cubic meter of water, and then the power at the end. We are now calculating a power as the third axis in the equation, if we can say. So at the time being, of course, Egypt is exporting a lot of vegetables and the fruits, but at the end we are always calculating the average export unit of our exports. We are trying to remap, if we can say, the areas with the new area reclaimed to try to benefit a lot. So we are discussing to plant specific areas of wheat, not too much of wheat because it's cheap, and trying to plant more higher value crops. So if we can just
More valued crops, such as?
Correct. A lot. The cereals, if we are talking about faba beans, is double price of the wheat. If we are talking about the lentil, is 3 times the price of the wheat. If we are talking about soybean, it is triple price of the wheat.
Soybean, I don't think that our soil is that suitable for soybean until the moment.
In Egypt have been successful, and I think that the AI is helping a lot, because as we mentioned...
This is what I wanted to explore to gather new horizons. For example, it was said before that Egypt's soil is not that much suitable for soybean. Now you're saying that no, we can do it.
Some areas, of course, is successful for soybean, and they have a good productivity. I'm following that.
Yeah.
So at the end, we are trying, as I mentioned, that try to increase the revenue and return of our production in the agriculture. This is what we call
What about also included food manufacturing industries, for example?
It is doing good job, because 70% of the input of the food industry is agriculture production. So at the end, they are linked together. So I think that always we are having meeting together. We are trying to have better scenarios, if you can say. We are trying to afford what their needs, although that the markets are not the same, but at the end we should try to provide them with all the crops or the products.
I beg your pardon, sir. I want to see, as I said, I want to see the opportunity to have also a specialist in agriculture to focus on the whole field, or to have a panoramic view.
Correct.
Many voices, for example, and please correct me if I'm wrong, are saying if we focus a little bit on the medical crops, we are going to gain a lot. If we are going to focus on the plants which are used in the production of perfumes, for example, because we do have whole villages focusing on that on our countryside. What about doubling or tripling these projects to be scattered all over Egypt? Isn't it going to be another source of income?
As we mentioned, that we always sit together, okay, and we always have to see the map of the demand in the whole world. And of course, there is some countries are producing same items. So that's always is happened every year. We always sit together. All the sectors of agriculture, we have committees, if we can say.
Sure.
So these committees always have their ideas and plans about the year. And they set this program that they need to increase. There is a demand in the global. So we always have to
Let me put my question other way, sir. What are the most important challenges on the way to invade more markets and to have a better presence for the Egyptian agricultural products outside?
Competitiveness, first of all. The geopolitical crisis is always playing a big role in our business, because, you know, it's very fragile product, and it is not a long shelf life product, as we can say. So as we always focusing now, I always say that the exporter have to study geography, politics, logistics, plus banking, plus
the banking segment in general, whether the financial services introduced by the banks or the non-financial services. But
so we are always having challenges. It's not easy. We are not working at the time being in a stable markets or a stable environment. So every day there is a new ideas coming and new challenges as well. So we have always to be on the table, ready to try to control what is happening.
A humble dream of mine is to know that the whole world, and they are speaking about the tulips from Holland, for example, and they will speak with the same way about jasmine from Egypt. I mean,
Holland is not the biggest exporter of tulip at the time being. They have moved all investments to Colombia. And this is only because they discovered that in Colombia there is 1 hour more sunrise, which help the tulip. So this is the idea. There is a lot of
as you said, competitiveness.
Researches. There is a lot of researches. We are also, this is a challenge for us. The researches are also a big challenge for us. We have to try to implement more and more seeds and seedlings or try to open gates through the quarantine to try to have a better types of seeds and seedlings which can afford the needs of our markets at the end, and can also stand against the climate changes, which is
another challenge, yes.
Day and day, yeah.
Sir, how do you see efforts exerted by the state to strengthen the role of the private sector, and as this is also included into our narrative?
As we mentioned, that every ministry is helping in each field. So if we talk about the Ministry of Industry and Transport, they are doing a great job. They are trying to afford new zones, industrial zones for the manufacturers and for the investors. They are trying to facilitate more the transport by improving the efficiency of the ports and the roads, and as well they are trying to have contracts with fast speed vessels to try to distribute our products more and more fast. If we talk about the Ministry of Investment and the Trade, they are trying to minimize all the processes and the steps, either in import or export, which is saving time and money both, which will give a better, as we say, competitiveness to our exports, and try to reduce the cost of the imports to the at the end.
Do you think, sir, that the private sector, particularly in the field of industry, it realizes now that localizing industry is a goal? Or a priority in front of the state, and they realize only that the incentives given by the state for all the projects here, I mean the medium-sized, the mega projects, you name it, if you do use 60 or 65% of our local products, then you are going to receive more incentives, and this is going to go in parallel all the time. How do you see this as part and parcel also of our narrative?
It is a good initiative, of course. All the countries are going in the same way to try to localize the production. But what we can localize, we will do. What is difficult, of course, we have to still depend on some of the imported components. But at the end, we see that Egypt is on the right track. I can say that.
Of course, I like the term. Sir, also, when it comes to the narrative, we do have short-term plans, a medium-range plan, and a long-term plan. How do you see having this, I mean, not only to focus on what we are doing right now, but there's a short term because we need direct outcomes or very important outcomes to flow that fast for the sake of the local market. And then we're talking about a medium range, then about a long term. So how do you see this?
What we are now working for is the plan for 2030. And I think that we cannot jump at the time being, because you know that the geopolitical crises are hammering day by day, and really it is very difficult. But what I can assure is that what is the state is doing at the time being, according to the economy, according to the stable exchange rate of our currency, maybe it is increasing or have gained about 4% in 2025, and I expect to gain more in 2026, and then decreasing the unemployment rate, increasing the GDP, all of these are facts, and it is not mentioned by Egyptian experts. It is mentioned by global and international economical viewers. Even the IMF have also mentioned that. They have re-evaluated our GDP 2 times in 2025, increasing it. So I think that hoping that 2026 will be a stable political year, I think Egypt will gain a lot of that.
Because we proved, or our economy proved, that much resilient, absorbing a lot of shocks. And with the global economy is really suffering, I mean here, soaring prices, inflation.
Following every hour, we are watching what will happen in there.
And I really intended to end our episode with a very positive note, which was announced today. Egypt ranks first in Africa in Oxford Insights 2025 regarding government AI readiness index.
Correct.
Egypt climbs 14 places globally and tops the world in the policy capacity pillar. These were the statements which were released by the Ministry of Communication, and Dr. Amr Talat, the Minister of Communications, really said that this is really reflecting efforts exerted by the state in this domain in specific. If you want to elaborate on that too, sir.
As I mentioned, every ministry is doing a great job, really, and trying to catch more time and trying to have a better service. So what is mentioned, we feel it, even in our business. Now it is, the trade process is not as before. It is totally electronic. It is totally controlled by the authorities, linked with the exporter or the importer. On the same day, you can follow through your desk.
Your mobile phone. If you permit me, sir, I'm going to just read just a few words from the statement or from the release, and you comment on them. Egypt topped the global rankings in the policy capacity pillar, scoring a full 100 points, tying with the United Kingdom, Australia, and Serbia. Sir.
What you can imagine. But I think that, as we always say, we are not in a competition with others. I think that the global have to work all together. We are always in a good
relations with all.
Egypt is always in the middle way of all the parties, and this have helped a lot Egypt with its stabilized and the soft political influences among the area. So Egypt now is a hub really for more investments, and we can see that, and we have been hearing in the last 48 hours, a lot of Arab investors are saying that Egypt is the place which we are going to feel safe with our capitals, and they feel that the relations globally is not stabilized, and Egypt are giving a soft berth for all investments who can come from whoever.
And this is also to strengthen our fruitful cooperation with our allies, whether regionally or internationally, or with the economic institutions, global economic institutions. How do you see the importance of this, sir? Because simply we cannot walk alone.
I think that we have to wait a little bit to see the impact of the global institutions, or either the national or the international or the United Nations institutions, how it will work. But I think that the relation between Egypt and the IMF or the EBRD is improving day by day. Every day we have a program.
This is it, sir. And just to end it here, because you mentioned a very important issue. Today it was a very important meeting where President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi received Kaja Kallas, the EU policy chief, and they talked about everything, and both sides really hailed the strategic partnership between Egypt and EU, and this is only an example. Well, sir, as usual, I enjoyed our discussion, and I'm going to give you the promise to see you again.
And I think that 2026, as we mentioned before, that it will be a year with a better economical development, and I think that the people will feel that, and we have to be always
united together.
Yeah, united together. As His Excellency
always say, yes.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Engineer Mustafa. We were very much delighted to have with us live here in the studio our prominent guest, Engineer Mustafa Negari, our economic and political analyst. And now I'm going to leave you with the most important economic events which took place in the past 7 days. We'll meet again same time on Nile TV International. Many thanks for watching. This was Nermina Abdurrahman.
The Central Bank of Egypt, the CBE, revealed that Egypt's net international reserves have risen to $51.452 billion as of December 2025. These foreign reserves are made up of a mix of major global currencies, including the US dollar, euro, British pound, Japanese yen, and Chinese yuan. The allocation of Egypt's reserves is determined by currency exchange rates and their stability in the international market, with the distribution adjusted according to a strategic plan set by CBE officials. Planning, Economic Development and International Cooperation Minister Rania Al-Mashot said Egypt has raised its target for annual GDP growth to 7.5% to 2030. Up from a previous goal of 7%. Speaking after the Cabinet's weekly meeting, Al-Mashot said the revised target is part of an updated national economic development framework, which also aims to raise the share of private investment in total investment to 66% and increase private investment to 11.9% of GDP by 2030. Cyprus President Nikos Christodoulidis highlighted close cooperation with Egypt during a meeting in Nicosia with Egyptian Minister of Petroleum Karim Badawi, who was representing President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi at the opening of Cyprus presidency of the Council of the European Union, the EI. Christodoulidis said strengthening EU engagement with Egypt would be a priority during Cyprus presidency, describing Cairo as a strategic partner for the bloc and a key pillar of stability in a volatile region. The meeting aimed to review the latest developments in the natural gas interconnection projects between the two nations to bolster regional energy security, according to a statement by the Ministry of Petroleum and Mineral Resources. Minister of Foreign Affairs, Immigration and Egyptian Expatriates Badr Abdelati affirmed the special and solid nature of relations between Egypt and the European Union that were elevated to the level of a strategic and comprehensive partnership nearly 2 years ago. During a joint press conference held with EU High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy, Kaji Kallas, Egypt's top diplomat said the talks agreed on closely and diligently following up on the outcome of the Egyptian-European summit and working to put them into implementation in the coming period. He added that he stressed during the meeting the importance of removing any obstacles hindering the flow of Egyptian exports to European markets.